Congress is back in session, and Donald Trump's plan to hide away the Epstein files has just failed, because no matter how long he tried to delay, no matter how many distractions he tried to throw in front of the mainstream media, we were always going to be talking about this scandal. And Donald Trump's attempts to cover up only has us talking about it more. And his latest example, the calls that he has been making have only exploded this scandal even more, and we are going to get into it all. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button, because it goes a long way in supporting our work. Now, before we can get into the calls Trump is making as he panics over the Epstein files, I want to start with the latest breaking news on this new release from the Oversight Committee that was called out by Robert Garcia right here.
Most of the documents that were sent to our committee, those initial documents were given to right-wing influencers back in February. The files and the full report, according to the Attorney General, were sitting on her desk ready to be released. We know that the Attorney General herself has shared with the President directly that he is also in the files. The reason, and we don't understand why this cover-up by the President continues to not release the full files. And so the discharge petition is an important additional step forward for the Congress, the full Congress, to be on record to release the full files. And so that piece is...
We always knew that Donald Trump and his stooges in Congress were going to make sure that not only did we not get the most damning aspects of the Epstein files, but those that they would release, they would make a mockery in doing so. This is not actual documentation. This is not them sharing anything of substance. It is the same, like Robert Garcia pointed out, as when Donald Trump and Pam Bondi gave out those binders filled with publicly available information to idiotic MAGA influencers to throw a stunt, to do political theater. That's what they want out of this. They don't care about the victims. They don't care about the real crimes that were committed. They still think this is a show. They think that it's a game. They think that they can play politics with this very, very real crime, and the cover-up is only making it worse. And when James Comer was pressed on these fake files, essentially, that he released, he melted down, and it's why Donald Trump is now getting caught in his cover-up. But first, let's start with James Comer getting called out.
I mean, do you support the Massey counter resolution, yes or no?
We're already doing it. And let me say, the discharge petition does not have the force of law. We've already subpoenaed.
You can
and look, no, look, Mr. McGovern, it's very disappointing that you're trying to politicize this. We're trying to get answers. We're trying to do everything that's in this discharge petition, but you're trying to politicize it.
No, it's a yes or no question. It's not a trick question. I mean, do you think...
We've already done what the discharge petition's asking.
Do you think the resolution saying to keep doing what you were doing is better than a bill that can become law?
The bill has no force of law. It has no force of the law. You're just trying to do a political stunt.
Look, ask the question, Mr. McGovern. Let him answer.
Well, I was asking a question. He interrupted me.
Okay.
It's a simple yes or no question. Simple yes or no question.
We're already doing it.
All right. Well, that's not a yes or no, but do you think the resolution saying to keep doing what you were doing is better than a bill that can become law, which would require the release of all the files?
It doesn't have the force of the law. It's just a political stunt. It's just a political stunt, and you know.
This is a resolution. The counter is a Massey counter bill would become law. If all you Republicans want everything released, then you could vote for it, and then if he decides to veto it, you could override the veto.
Let's call these things what they are. These are the fake Epstein files. Page after page of blacked out names, page after page of redacted this, redacted that. These are not the Epstein files. These are fake Epstein files. Now, let it be clear that Robert Garcia is going to continue to work to get actual oversight accomplished on this scandal, that Ro Khanna and Thomas Massey are putting forth their discharge petition, have put forth their discharge petition, and are going to make sure that the Epstein files become public. But for this moment right now, Republicans continue to make a show, continue to play political games, and it is why Donald Trump, terrified of the actions being taken by Ro Khanna and Thomas Massie is panicking, and the White House is as well, and I want to get into that right here. Massie files Epstein discharge to sidestep GOP leaders and force a House vote. The Kentucky Republican needs to persuade 217 other members to join him. Massie said Tuesday he's confident he has enough support to reach the threshold and force a floor vote, but he insisted he is not whipping votes. He said other Republicans have told him the White House is pressuring the dozen GOP co-sponsors of the measure to stand down. There is pressure campaign from the White House right now on these folks, on these 12, Massie said. They've self-identified by being a co-sponsor, but I think there are also ones that the White House is not whipping that may be inclined to sign it. And this freak out from the White House has only been made all the more damning with this report that Donald Trump has instructed the White House to call Republican representatives to not sign the petition to force a vote on releasing the entire FBI files regarding Epstein, the 33,295 files just released in public information previously released. If you want to know how panicked Donald Trump is, just listen to Donald Trump. He's instructed his stooges in the White House to call up these Republicans who are supporting the discharge petition from Thomas Massie and Ro Khanna. Donald Trump is likely on the phone himself, considering how panicked he is, considering everything that he has done to keep us from talking about Epstein. But they want to make sure that this discharge petition dies because it is the one way at this point that we can get an up or down vote on the House floor to see which Republicans actually believe that the Epstein files need to be released, and of course, the vast majority that do not. But as Thomas Massie has suggested, as Ro Khanna has continuously suggested, the reason why Congress was wrapped up early, why they went for the long extended break, is because Donald Trump and his little puppet, Mike Johnson, they knew that this discharge petition would pass. They knew that there would be a vote on the House floor. They knew that Republicans would be putting pressure on Donald Trump, and it has been a failure of the mainstream media and the White House press pool to not be asking Donald Trump about this every day. Now, I know that he has disappeared over the last couple, whether it be because of his health or because he's terrified of the Epstein list becoming public, but you need to be asking Trump about this every single day, and every Republican needs to be asked how they would vote on this discharge petition, how they would vote on this resolution. Why do they claim to care about Epstein up until it is politically inconvenient for them? Why have they continued to use this as a political pawn, as a game? It is always theater. It has always been theater for these people. They don't actually care. It is so important that we make it clear that Republicans should never be taken seriously, that these are fundamentally unserious people. They do not care about your problems. They don't have long-term policy solutions. Republican politics is a politics of subtraction. These are people who will tell you if you will just take the right, or I guess in their eyes, the wrong people out of society, if you just get rid of the homeless in D.C., everything will be fine. If you get rid of the people you don't like, oh, we're going to go after trans people. We're going to go after anyone who loves or looks different from us. Society will be better. But what Republicans won't tell you, what they won't let you know, is the culture wars they use to distract from the real crisis of affordability in our country. Yeah, those culture wars that they spin up, they don't actually affect you. They don't do anything to change your life in any meaningful way, except for the fact that they're what Republicans talk about on Fox. To distract from the fact, again, that's all they do is distract, that it is billionaires who are causing you your problems. That is the minority that you should be afraid of. That is the policy of subtraction that they want. They want to get rid of any discussion about actual substance, and they want to get rid of the problem without actually addressing the underlying structural problems that lead to these outcomes, that lead to homelessness. It's not homeless people. It is the crisis of affordability in America, the scarcity that is baked into the market, because that's what they want. That's what Republicans don't want to talk about. And I know this is a bit of a divergence from Epstein, but it is all the same thing. It is all a class issue that they don't want you talking about, that they don't want you focused on. It's all a through line. And it's why they will ultimately always try to distract, but they can't, at least not tomorrow. And Ari Melber broke down why right here.
We're following breaking news out of Washington. Congressional Republicans, using one of the oversight committees, have now released over 30,000 pages of Epstein-related records, which they say they got from the DOJ. Now, this is a big deal because if you go back to the middle of the summer, Trump and his allies were claiming they wanted this story done and over and not coming back in the fall when Congress reconvenes. On the other hand, we're just sifting through these now. Some of the materials are obviously not new and thus not really effectuating some great new insight. For example, we can see in the early summary of the records, it includes the DOJ Maxwell interview, which, if you watch the news, has been out for some time. With all of this swirling around on Congress's first day back, I want to bring in Maya Wiley, former SDNY civil prosecutor. Andrew Weissman, Legal Eagle, is still here. Maya, something is happening, but that something may be nothing. When you look at this, some of the items, of course, as mentioned, are not new. And thus it raises the question whether the Oversight Committee is trying to do a thing or just look like it's doing a thing. On the other hand, Trump would rather that none of this was being talked about. He's asked for that. So how do you view this sort of pseudo-transparency?
Well, first of all, what took him so long? Second of all, remember that the news that we had already seen today was that there was a very strong possibility that Congress would push to get these released anyway, and that there were already some key Republicans, including ones that support Donald Trump, like Marjorie Taylor Greene, saying she'd sign on, she'd agree that they need to move this out of committee and really get action on the Jeffrey Epstein's files. And that's because the base itself, as we've talked about before, Ari, wants to see them. It was something that was a commitment.
And just to slow you down, I'll let you continue. You're sort of reminding everyone, and some people are coming back from summer holidays and better topics than this. You're reminding everyone that the pressure was coming up through Congress because of this discharge petition, that basically that Mike Johnson was losing control of this decision either way.
That's correct. And discharge petitions, this sounds very formal, but all it really means is when leadership isn't moving, when something's not moving through committee, it's been sitting around for a long time, it is possible for the members of Congress to simply say, look, there are enough of us that want it out there that we're just going to skip the line here. And
we can make sure that Donald Trump can't escape this issue, that his scandal doesn't go away. And we have to do so by talking about it constantly. Now, I promise you we are going to be doing so on this show every single day. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video, and if you stuck around to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.